This of course, is game number 2 of this best of 3. Nimbus is the host of it and spawning up to the top right hand position. We have got the red Terran player currently 1-0 up, representing ESC, none other than GoOdy. And his opponent, down to the lower left, the blue Protoss, representing Mouse Sports, it's HasuObs. Going to be very excited to see how this game goes, what sort of things these two are going to be getting up to. Of course, the winner of this is going to be facing up against Hero Marine in the winner's game. The loser up against Golden in the loser's game. That was after the first series of the evening. Still keeping a close eye on what these two are doing though, because it's not over yet. Of course, the first series did go to all 3 games. This again could happen. One thing that's cool and worth noting about Nimbus is the fact that it's got this base in your base, so it's very easy to take a natural expansion. Getting up to a third isn't too challenging. It is not the easiest third base in the world to hold. GoOdy is probably going to be quite comfortable if HasuObs tries to take the third base, because if we switch over here, GoOdy can shove some tanks up in this sort of vicinity, push around the side here, and it can be very challenging to try and engage into this and defend against it. So that is if GoOdy decides to push, which is not something you always see unless he's very confident that he's able to take the fight. Just as in game number 1, where actually he was very confident and in a very good spot after deterring the aggression from HasuObs. GoOdy's going to be opening with a CC first this game, so playing it very greedy. With the debris blocking off the majority of this ramp, or at least 2/3 of the ramp here, you can wall this off very, very safely if you want to. It's a nice tight choke to try and hold. So GoOdy probably feeling quite confident that he's going to be able to defend this, going to be in a nice position overall. Otherwise, this is normal stuff at the moment. Very, very normal game. HasuObs just going for the 1 gate, 1 cybercore. Potentially he may try and go a bit aggressive upon seeing the fact that it is a CC first out of GoOdy, if he feels that he can make that work. Blinkstalkers wouldn't be dire on this map, not as good as they were obviously a couple of map pools ago, and that's because of this area. You can get Blinkstalkers up into here, okay. There's also a little area you could blink them up through here. That's another nice vicinity. You couldn't actually blink them across there, and I do not think, but I'm not too confident on it because I haven't actually seen anyone test it, I think maybe you could blink across that area, perhaps. Someone will know that sort of thing. Some Protoss player who loves blink all-ins. I have a lot of fun of blink all-ins actually, overall. I remember back to the Heart of the Swarm beta. That is where my blink all-ins had the greatest fun. People won't remember, but it was before blink research time was nerfed. So it was still crazy quick. And you could actually do a blink all-in with a mothership core and still, because you didn't need the robotics facility as well for the observer, because the mothership core still had insane vision distances. God, that was so OP. Seriously, it was crazy. You could hit that every game against Terran, and Terran players were just like, I hate you. I literally hate you. I had so much fun with that. So much fun. It was amazing. Anyway, just looking here now for GoOdy. He's busy just coming out and adding in a lot of SCVs, lots of mules. First gas is just getting taken at the moment, so not doing anything too crazy for the most part. A lot of Marines also coming out. This is only out of 2 barracks. If you look at someone like Hero Marine, for example, if he goes for a CC first, he does actually go up to the 3rd barracks off of this. It means that he can produce a lot more Marines very, very quickly. It only takes 4 production cycles, therefore, to get enough Marines to defend both your main and natural from an Oracle harassment. And that's one of the big reasons you can go for that. Otherwise, just waiting to see what HasuObs is going for. He's not doing anything too insane either himself, just happy to sit back, adding in that robotics facility again, so this is a very similar build to last game. Gateway expand into that robotics facility, keeping things on the safe side. Is he going to go for that same Mass Immortal style play that we saw last game? It wasn't that effective for him. I saw why he did it, I understand why he did it completely. He wanted to catch GoOdy off guard. GoOdy, of course, known for going for that mech style play, and if you do catch him off guard, by going for those Immortals, it may have worked out well. But what actually ended up catching HasuObs off guard was the 3 starports worth of Banshee on the map. And there just wasn't a response to that. There was no observer, so they cloaked up and were just like, oh, you've got Immortals. A Banshee will deal with that. And they did deal with it. They dealt with it really, really well. And that pretty much stopped things out nice and quick. GoOdy this time, just chilling. He's adding in that missile type, because of course he is. This missile type will prevent any observers, any drops coming through here. And of course, this is a big avenue for drops. There's dead space around the side, nice little landing platform. All it actually needs is a little helipad symbol, or a medevac symbol. Would that be an M rather than an H? That'd be cool. Just a massive M there. That would be awesome. Be like Mario. Mario, and if you switch it upside down, of course, Wario. Wario games were so fun. I liked them before they changed the mini games, though. I don't know about you guys. I thought it was alright. It was good for kids, but I loved the first Wario game on the original Game Boy. That was so much fun. I still have my... It's not an original Game Boy. Actually, no, it is. It's one of the really first ones. It's one of the yellow ones. So not the ultra first, but the proper brick size ones. I've still got that. I've still got SNES. And I've still got an N64. Those were the good games. Those were the good days. I like that. One thing I didn't like about SNESs, though, of course, was my dad. The very first game I got with my SNES was Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And my dad would occasionally play me at it, and I would have been practicing. I would have learned all the combos and stuff like that, and my dad would literally just spam the buttons as fast as possible and beat me, and I'd be so sad because I was only like 5. I was like, oh, it's stupid, you're not playing it properly. Which I'm sure is what a lot of people feel in StarCraft when Swarm hosts are played. Boom, I linked it back to the game we're watching. Anyway, we are moving in now. Little poke out here by GoOdy. He's got a few tanks, a couple of marines. Nothing too traumatizing. Let's take out one of those stalkers. The other two going to be backing away. Meanwhile, HasuObs, he's also pumping out a decent number of immortals. The second one about to pop. Nice little use here of the medevac. Using medevac boost, lifting those two tanks, trying to close up the distance to the stalkers. But they're able to heal up okay, buying themselves a bit more time. So that's nice and fun. A couple of quick little shots though. Trying to take out this debris. Buy a bit more time, a bit more space in case the tanks siege up and there's a need to poke and prod. 2 immortals should be okay against this, to be honest. The 2 immortals and the stalkers won't cause too much of a problem. And we see GoOdy's already pulling back. HasuObs also had a good little read on all of this, thanks to the observer, in just a fine position. Still checking. Looks like HasuObs getting quite brave, feeling confident. Loses a stalker for that, a bit too brave. There's always the point where you're just like, I can go further. I can do a bit more. I can keep this going. Oh, a little back away. GoOdy. Poking and prodding the immortals. Get a good shot off. Able to knock out a lot of that damage to the tank. One tank was actually taken down there. And that's super good. Of course, every time you can take down a tank, you can be very, very happy about that. Still keeping an eye on where these two do decide to go. But for the moment, there's nothing insane as of yet. No sign of a third base from either player. Just a couple of additional starports coming in from GoOdy, so again, going to be focusing on getting a lot more of those Banshee out. Utilizing the scouting barracks just to get some low ground vision once we have to see anything that may be coming knocking at his door. Meanwhile, HasuObs, he's adding in the Templar Archives, also going for charge. His +1 is nearly finished, so that's going to give him an upgrade advantage over GoOdy, who, as of yet, doesn't even have an armory. So, no chance of him getting any upgrades anytime soon, and the longer this game goes on, if HasuObs continues on his upgrades, which he certainly can because he does have the Twilight Council, that would be awesome. That would be just really, really awesome. Couple of shots now coming down onto that Zealot. That Zealot being like, yo, no third base. I'm hightailing it out of here. Don't want any of that noise. And he does get away. We've also got Chrono Boots coming down here on the Templar Archives, adding in Storm. Storm, of course, going to be very strong, going to be powerful up against any of this infantry, especially Storm Drops. God, I love Storm Drops. I love watching them. I hate playing against them. They just make me sad. Your reactions have to be so on the ball. Otherwise, you just lose your work line. You're just like, oh, well, shucks, that's bad. That's why I build so much static defense when I'm playing. Because I play Zerg. And I've got to say, my biggest fault, my biggest weakness overall in StarCraft 2 is getting dropped in the kind of mid and late game. My multitasking isn't up to it. The sheer fact I can observe and talk at the same time is incredible, as my girlfriend would agree. I am not one for multitasking. But yeah, I build lots of static defense, and then I'm just like, oh, you're dropping me. Eat 4 spine callers and 2 spores. What are you going to do? And then they just drop the other side of the base, and then I'm like, oh, damn it. Guess that hatch is dead. Anyway, these two still just chilling. HasuObs just waiting out here. He's got his third. It's established. It's a lot ahead of GoOdy's. GoOdy still hasn't completed his third base. Oh, no, he has. What am I on about? Third base. His 4th base is now being established, so he's actually getting a base ahead right now. HasuObs also building a fair few pylons around. GoOdy is doing a grand job of spotting them, but not really doing much about it, actually. Just saying, oh, okay, pylons there. Cool. As long as I know. That's the important thing. I don't actually need to do anything about them, but as long as I know they're there. Okay, he's going to do something about them now. Coming over with a little dropship full of medevacs. Going to go for a little bit of pokey proddy. Pokey proddy sounds really fun. I don't even know how I'd describe that. Poking and prodding is what he's aiming to do, not pokey proddy. I'm going to pokey proddy you with my medevac. You wouldn't actually need the mic. If we were just trying to go for the most important terms, just be pokey proddy medevac drop. Yeah. Zealots though, they don't take too kindly to Marines slaughtering pylons, innocent pylons. Architectural genius, might I add. Beautiful constructions. So HasuObs comes to deal with that. Pulling his old army as well. He's up at 151 supply compared to 185 of GoOdy. GoOdy has a very large army right now. His Banshee count is up at 6. Soon to approach the 9 mark. That's where these Immortals aren't going to have as much fun. And HasuObs sees that and is just like, do I actually want to go for this? He decides no. He's instead going to go for a hidden expansion. Taking a 4th at what would probably be about 6th base location normally. They're playing it out for the long term. A couple of good storms would be very, very strong. Quick little scan from GoOdy. He's like, okay, how much of an army is here? Do I want to go for it? Morphing all of those Hellbats from Hellions. Storm on its way out. Not really doing too much. A Time Warp being utilized as well, trying to just stop this army chasing it down. The Storms really aren't hitting that much in the way of units. Banshee now coming through. A couple of feedbacks hitting on them early on. That's going to prevent some of them from being cloaked up for much longer. The damage is still good though. HasuObs being forced to retreat away. Banshee shooting through. Good little storm there. That actually picks off a lot of Banshee. Takes GoOdy down to 6 of them. Another great storm catches a lot of those Hellbats. The tanks as well taking considerable damage from those psionic storms. The Immortals tearing apart the remaining siege tanks that are there. Great trade coming through from HasuObs, who's now up by about 10 supply. 9 actually if we want to be precise. But of course HasuObs, thanks to that beautiful warping mechanic, is going to be able to resupply a heck of a lot quicker than GoOdy. GoOdy now needs to make sure that he's in a very safe spot. Needs to try and turtle up to the max. Go full GoOdy mode is probably the easiest way of saying things. Otherwise, he's going to be at risk of losing a lot. Going to have to just flat out take away this CC. May actually cancel the Planetary Fortress. Doesn't cancel it, just loses it. He could have cancelled and lifted. That's one way to go for it. But no, it goes down. Buys him a bit more time to get a couple more production cycles out. His Banshee count back up to 5 already. Going to be soon up to 8. That's going to be nice for him. Meanwhile, HasuObs, he's just like, I will expand everywhere. All of the bases will be mine. And then what can I possibly lose from it? HasuObs also doing an amazing job of just putting pylons everywhere. He's just like, I don't know, any base you take, bro. Literally any base, I am watching. He's also getting down a Dark Shrine, so he can be warping them in. Getting a Dark Shrine into GoOdy's base, probably not the easiest thing in the world. He does literally have missile turrets everywhere. He's prepared. He's got a lot of detection, a lot of scans, a lot of command centers and orbital commands. This is like a DT's worth nightmare. A couple of shots now coming down onto this orbital command to the edge. Gets taken down very quickly because these are +3 Stalkers and Immortals. That's a lot of damage coming through. GoOdy, on the other hand, he's only a 1-1 for the moment, so not in the strongest spot. Just tick past the 19-minute mark in game, so we're well and truly into the late game at the moment. But while GoOdy has managed to even up the supply again, if we take a look at the resources lost, it's massively favouring HasuObs. GoOdy losing nearly double what his opponent has. But also, HasuObs is sitting there comfortably now on 5 bases, and he can expand to this one in the middle if he so chooses. GoOdy, I don't believe has scouted these. Okay, no, he has scouted them. He is aware. A couple of SCVs coming over, just going to kill those off. And that may seem like a horrible little move from GoOdy. Just like these SCVs, they work for him well. But they're retirement age, and retirement for SCVs is death. Frees up supply, allows a bit more mech to be produced, because if you get a big enough mech army, nothing will stop you, ever. At least that's what GoOdy's ethos is. The SCV's going to fight, they might as well. They won't succeed. Poor little SCVs. But they tried. They tried their best. Banshee hit squad on its way through. This one photon cannon is not going to be happy about its posting. It got like 1 shot off, if that. Now a Nexus is getting vaporized by the damage of what is 11 Banshee. Just shelling through. A couple more Immortals looking for a way to go through. Few Zealots harassing. They're actually going to take out 1, maybe, wow, 2 tanks. That's good. Banshee, though, still getting some good damage down, taking out these auxiliary expansions of HasuObs. Not going to be able to keep those up for much longer. So puts HasuObs back onto 3 base. That is only really going to be 1 mining base. The Banshee's still coming up as well. A couple of Stalkers warping in here. Stalkers up against 11 Banshees. Not the greatest trade. A couple of feedbacks coming through. But what can it really do? The Banshees just don't care. They seriously don't. They're just like, kill everything. Kill everything inside. The Stalker's trying to engage upon this. Just getting one-shotted down. They're running away. Don't blame him. That lone Hellion buying a bit of time. Natural base of HasuObs is going to go down. GoOdy's actually doing a really good job of stifling the economy of his opponent. Just with Mass Banshees. Mass Banshees is going to become a thing on the ladder if people watch this. And that makes me really sad. I'm sorry anyone who plays against a Terran player who's watched GoOdy do this. Because this just isn't a fun situation to be in. Backing away now with these Banshee, keeping them up. Meanwhile, the army of mech is huge. 142 army supply to 112. A couple of Zealots trying to break for freedom. Not going to succeed. Upgrade-wise, it's +3 attack for HasuObs with +1 shields up against the 2-1 upgrades for GoOdy's mech. So GoOdy could really get on top of those upgrades a bit more at 23 minutes basically now. So it would be wise if he did manage to sneak those through a bit further. A few more scans. Coming down, GoOdy just saying, okay, is he trying to rebuild these bases? Nope. That's not going to happen. His Banshee hit squad ready to go in once more. A couple of Storms coming through here, and these Storms are getting a heck of a lot of the Hellbats, but none of the tanks. And the tanks already starting to shell up very nicely. Down goes that Photon Cannon. Meanwhile, we've got a few Zealots harassing in the way of a counter push. Dark Templar as well in the mix. There is, of course, that one missile charge, but only the one. Meanwhile, GoOdy's still doing a good job of sieging this up. His Banshee ready to move forward yet again in here. There's the Observer. The 4 Banshee not going to fare that well against the Stalkers. Should end up winning. It forces a couple more warpins, but overall, still alive. GoOdy losing a few more of those SCVs. 41 have died so far this game, but a lot worse sacrificed, remember. And it looks like HasuObs just doesn't want to try and take the fight head on. He's just like, well, kill my Nexus. I'm just going to come and kill your face. Still, HasuObs waiting for this. Still looking to go in a bit further. Couple of shots coming through. GoOdy backing away. This is his 4th, remember. He's also got a 5th and 6th command center chilling, waiting. HasuObs in quite a nice spot. He's lost this base to the top left, but does have one to the lower right being produced. HasuObs now retreating away. We've just about hit the 25-minute mark in this game, and I'd still give the edge to GoOdy. He's done a great work of denying expansions and actually just now back up for HasuObs. While HasuObs has a pretty comfortable bank of gas, his minerals are really low for the moment. GoOdy, on the other hand, he's in a similar position, although with mules, he's going to be able to rectify that a heck of a lot quicker. Small little move up of this army now, going to try and take down a few more SCVs, a few more bases. HasuObs going for this. The tanks shelling away quite nicely. The Orbital Commander is going to get lifted. Of course, there are 2 spares just to the north here, so GoOdy not too worried about losing that. Loses a couple more SCVs, but mules are good. A couple of Hellions identifying an additional base here. Finding also a lot of probes, and with Blue Flame, they just go for barbecue. Good damage being done, 52 to 32 workers. Still favoring HasuObs, but of course with the mules, GoOdy's actually still in a fine spot. Probably wants to take these 2 gas at some point. He's still got 1,700, but you'd be fine. You'd be very surprised how quickly that can disappear if your macro is on point. One lone Dark Templar chipping away now, taking out that Hellion. And HasuObs has managed to re-secure up his 4th base, just in a different location. GoOdy, of course, also on 4 bases. This is a very equal game overall. Resources lost have leveled out significantly. If you look back to, I think it was about the 12 to 15 minute mark, GoOdy was massively behind in overall resources lost, but he's brought that back very nicely, and it's all thanks to sniping off all of those Nexi and a lot of Stalkers with his Banshee hit squads, which he's reproducing now, might I add. He's got 4 of them onto the field. GoOdy repositioning his tanks. They are going to get up in time. A couple of Stalkers pay for the poke. Not too bad, but still, it's a couple of Stalkers going down. HasuObs, of course, does have the joy of this base, and also one in the bottom right now is completed, so keeping that up is going to be very important for him. A couple of Zealots and a Dark Templar coming through. If the missile turrets get taken out, that would be frustrating. A lot of this is going to depend on how much attention is being paid, but GoOdy, once more, pushing in with these Blue Flame Hellions, trying to get some damage out. The Zealots are still alive. The Hellbat's not doing a very good job of stopping those. But GoOdy floating over. Gonna have another mining base here. We're 28 minutes through into this game. Both players just poking and prodding, neither really wanting to take a big head-on engagement yet. There's just so many tanks for GoOdy. He's up 27 siege tanks. That's just insane. One thing that I do find quite interesting and intriguing is that GoOdy doesn't opt to get any ghosts. Many Terran players just think if you're going to mech against Protoss, you need the ghosts for the attack. This is a beautiful position for HasuObs though. The siege tanks are not in siege mode. They are now resieging. First few shots going to come through. The Stalker's taking a lot of damage, but the Immortal's in a good spot. They are dishing out significant amounts of fire. This is going to be a whitewash for HasuObs in that fight. Catching all of the siege tanks on siege simultaneously is a massive win. A couple of Banshee are out on the field, but the damage has been done. HasuObs knocked out all of the tanks. All of them. And GoOdy now has a lot of production, and he doesn't have the minerals to produce much. This is really painful for GoOdy. I think that engagement should have won HasuObs the game. HasuObs is up by over double the supply of his opponent. He's dropping now into the main base. He's going to be taking out these fringe expansions. GoOdy needs a lot more minerals. He needs to be muling this base if he wants to have a shot at this. He just doesn't have the income to produce much more. A few more tanks coming through, but there's still the 3 Immortals. The tank count, even if it gets up to 6, is probably not going to be enough to deal with this much. Of course, the Dark Templar still swiping away. Any little bit of damage helps. It's going to need to stay away from that missile turret. Just back on out. Good news there. GoOdy still continuing on the harassment, using these Hellions, trying to buy himself longer in this game. We're at the 30-minute and 40-second mark here. But if HasuObs doesn't do anything crazy, if he doesn't do anything... Okay, I'm going to say, if HasuObs doesn't do anything completely stupid, he should be clean sailing from this point. GoOdy's at 55 supply. He's only got 23 SCVs. His gas is quickly diminishing. Has started muling now. This is actually really important for GoOdy. If he continues this muling up, he can get some more minerals through. HasuObs still waiting. Still patiently preparing to go for this. GoOdy re-expanding with one of his spare orbital commands. He's got lots of them, remember. He also doesn't have any SCVs in those 2 gases. Only 1 gas. Is he seriously only mining off of 1 gas? Wow, okay. I can tell you for sure. Yeah, he's not even mining off of 1 gas. He must have... Okay, no he has. 113. He's going there good. So, what do you do from now? As GoOdy. He has to try and hold on. The longer HasuObs waits, the better it gets for GoOdy overall. GoOdy though... He's going to need a bit of a miracle. A DT comes in. That's actually a really smart decision to get just the 1 DT there. Stops his base from mining at all. Of course, HasuObs got good awareness of all the other expansions thanks to Zealots and Pylons about. GoOdy attempting to produce a couple more Banshee as well as getting those tanks through. It's going to take him quite a while to build up any resemblance of a strong force. But he's slowly creeping there. Getting there. Fraction at a time. A couple more probes getting transferred down. Not quite sure where these probes are going. Must be mined out everywhere else. They're just coming into the party. Expanding up as well. Long distance mining coming through. GoOdy still waiting. I'm really surprised that HasuObs is just waiting after such a monumental victory, and he must have realized just how much he won that by. Just harassing still rather than just trying to end it. Does go in with a couple of Zealots in that Warp Prism. Gunning to try and get some more damage through if he can. He's also got a second Warp Prism warping in more in the main base, so he's continuing on this harassment very nicely. Dark Templar in the mix as well. Scan being utilized, just going to try and pick that off quite quickly. GoOdy though, engagement coming through to the left hand side. GG is called, and HasuObs levels out this series 1-1.